Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it is now time to take on the boss battles of Heroes Jubilee 35. So the first boss fight is the AoE stage versus 3 enemies. So if you have Shalltear, she's going to do a butt ton of damage. But because I didn't recommend people summon for Shalltear, I don't know if you will. So just be content with not having a super great score, but Shalltear, honestly, after this Jubilee stages, is going to see very, very limited use, so don't feel that bad. My scores are fine for now. I'm going to try and get a little bit more, because my Boss Battle 2 run is definitely not super optimized. Boss Battle 1, I could get a little bit of a work in, but, I mean, I don't have a full 120 team like Nature, so my damage is already going to be a little bit less. And I have less dupes than even Blaze, so I don't know how much more I can improve here. But I can definitely improve my Boss Battle 2 score a bit. But let's go ahead and jump into Boss Battle 1. Alright, so this is a team that I'm using for Boss Battle 1. We've got Ainsmaru, Nabe, Shizuka still being the goddess that she is, Shalltear, my 120 win Shizu, who obviously doesn't do too much damage here, and then Big Bone Daddy Ains. So ideally, you're going to want EX ults for Ains and Shalltear, and then an alt for Shizu. If you can somehow manage to get an EX ult for her, then great. But honestly, you are going to want full stacks of Shizuka and Despair on Shalltear and Ains more than you do want on Shizu, because she is here to alt swap and get out, because she is not dark, she is not AoE, and she's not going to do the amount of damage that Ains and Shalltear are going to be doing here. So, starting out, we're going to use Nabe's Orb Change turn 1. Both the stages are built for her just fine, so it's great that she can work double duty. And then we'll bring Ains in for Nabe, and then we'll send this. And now pretty much Ains and Shalltear are locked in. Like, they will not come out, or at least not on an ideal run. They won't come out. Turn 2 can give you a lot of RNG, right? Because you only have so many points, and if you get 3 oranges here, like I do a lot, then you're kind of fucked. So right here, we're going to use Ains' Despair for that protection gauge. We'll bring Nabe back in, and then we'll use Ainsmaru to reset her skills. And we'll always try and keep her and Shizuka at, like, low cost. Like, I don't want one to be 25 and one to be 45. It's just my OCD. It's just, I want them to be both at the same cost level. That way I know what I can use and what I can't use on a certain turn. You definitely don't have to play like that, but here we go. Full hand of greens, that gets us quite a few points, and then from here on out, it's all no oranges. No oranges, and you want to use both skills for Shizuka every single turn. And so your only swappable unit at this point is Nabe, Shizuka, or Shizu. Because Ains and Shalltear have to be up front. Some people like to nuke early with Shalltear, because since she's rushing her ult every time you use Despair, you are going to get a lot of extra ult gauge for her. But honestly, I don't know if I recommend that. I would just continue to hold her ult and always send 6 greens, because you always want to maximize that live mode buff. That extra 2% attack does add up, versus some kind of like weird not EX non-buffed AoE ult from Shalltear, missing out on that, missing out on full protection gauge from the greens. So I don't recommend sending ults early. I just recommend holding Ains and Shalltear for all 8 turns, and then big time nuking at the end of that. But here at this point, like, now we have 3 ults, which is great, because now we have a Shizu ult, which is nice. By turn 5, you either have a Shizu ult or you don't, because at this point she's not going to live up front very often, and it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get ult gauge for Shizu, because she is the, you have to swap out Nabe for the orb change, you have to swap Shizuka in for her orb, for her buffs, and so Shizu will have very limited use past 5 turns left. You can get it if you get lucky, but a lot of the times, and a lot of my failed runs, I did not get a Shizu ult. I don't have a Shizu ult for Boss Battle 2, actually, for my high score. I only have the Ainz and the Shalltear ult, so that's why I can definitely improve that. But here, again, we are always making sure to stack up the Weakness Strike and the Live Mode for Shizuka, and then bring Nabe in, reset her cost down, and then use her Orb Change. And this is pretty much how the entire fight's going to run. So the next couple runs, I'm going to kind of do it light speed. Maybe not super light speed, but definitely faster than normal. That way we keep this video slightly lower on time and not be 45 minutes long of me talking and watching this 8-turn battle go on forever. Because the strategy is the same no matter what team you use. Get a bunch of greens, stack for a long time, and then big time nuke at the end of it. And that's pretty much all you have to do. And once you get the ults for like 2 of the units, it becomes very simple. You can still get 3 orange orbs and your run can still be very dead if you get unlucky. Like on this turn, if we had gotten 3 oranges instead of 3 blues, like we would have been absolutely screwed. But at least you know that if you get 3 oranges, your run is dead. Or if you don't care, you can just run it anyways and continue on. It really is, it's up to you, essentially. So, no. Something's wrong with my washer. Hold on, I'll be right back. Alright, back. So, let's talk about some substitutions you can do. Obviously, not everyone is going to have Shizuka. So your next best option is going to be Dark Shinsha, because she's giving the dark buff, she's giving the dark resistance down, and she's also stacking crit resistance down, which is going to be pretty impactful when your entire team is going to be critting on the nuke. And she's another single target, dark unit, so you can definitely bring her. As a substitution for Shalltear, your options become a little bit more limited because dark AoE units are not overly common. Dark Milim is going to be your best bet because she's got the ult buff. If she's skill fused, she has the attack buff for dark allies. So if you want to run, Rimuru, Ainz, Dark Milim, Dark Shinsha, you can certainly do so. I believe I have that team up next with the half meta build. And then if you don't have those options, then you're pretty much just bring an alt buffer, bring dark units, bring orb changes for greens, and just nuke as much as you can with Ainz, and just do it over and over and over and over again, and build up your damage that way. Because at that point, you're pretty much stuck. I tried to use Albedo here. She's terrible. Albedo is absolutely terrible for this team. You get a lot of alt gauge, which, awesome, great, perfect, cool, but her stun strike is peanuts compared to Shizuka. And it's also not great compared to Dark Shinsha. So I do not recommend bringing Albedo if you're going for a high score. So we have 3 turns left. Again, we're getting pretty good orb change luck here. And now we have enough points to consistently use the crit buff with Ainz for the next couple of turns. So as long as you don't need to orb change that much, you can do that, and that'll just enhance the amount of damage you do, because now he's going to be doing guaranteed crits across the board, and he's going to have that magic buff, which is going to make him hit harder against that guard that they have. And that'll just help you just do more damage overall. So here, again, works out, okay, not super great, but we can make it work. So we can use the Nabe orb change, and then I think Ainz has to come out of here. Actually, I think Ainz comes out here, which is not great. So this is definitely not the best run. I'll have a clip up for my best run after this. But this can definitely happen where sometimes your luck is awful. And ideally, you don't want a Nabe orb, or a Nabe ult. So I think I sit here for a while, so I'm going to pause. Okay, yeah. I swap Ainz out for Shizu, and then I use the alt swap and Nabe's orb change. So here, yeah, we're going to get more Shizu orbs, awesome, but it's not enough to get her the EX ult anyways. And because we're going to be missing that live mode and the weakness damage buff, Ainz is not going to do as much damage as I want him to, because he's not picking up this 20% weakness and the 12% attack buff from the live mode. So a little bit unfortunate here. So we'll go ahead and send this, and then we just need to then now pray that we have a Shizuka orb next turn to bring in for Ainz, so we can nuke with him. And if we don't, well then we're kind of SOL. But also here, not going to have enough to get a double stack of Rimuru because Shizu is in the back, and our gauge is a little wonky there. So guarded that, Boom. Now we're on the nuke turn. We do have a Shizuka orb, thankfully. And we also can technically maybe orb change here. No, never mind, we can't. So we're kind of stuck now. So here, we're going to bring Ainz in for probably Shizuka, yeah, and then Shizu will come in for Nabe, and that'll give us an Ainz orb. So I'll have a Shalltear and an Ainz orb to use, and we'll just kind of bump forward from that, because I think about it for a while. Yep, so we'll use two more uses of the Shizuka buffs, and just get this in here. So 1, 2, boom. And then we'll bring in Shizu, and that will give us enough points to use some Despair and the 3 big-time buffs, while having 2 green orbs for Shalltear, which is also going to raise our attack up by 4% again, because the live mode is active. So we will go ahead and big-time nuke. Shalltear needs to go first, because she does give the magic resistance down effect, which means that Ainz and Shizu will hit harder afterwards. So Shalltear, Albedo, Ainz, and then the follow-up orbs for Shalltear. And then here we go. So Shalltear, 3.8 in the middle and 3 million across the board, 707,000 for Shizu, and then Ainz does 6.6 million. And then our final Shalltear orb is 200,000 damage. So fairly good. We got over 18.5 million. But I'm going to now play you a clip of my best run and my best score and what damage they did. So there was our initial set, 18.6, final score 398, and now we'll be right back. Okay. So here is my best run so far. So we're on the final nuke turn. We've got a full hand of greens, we've got a green incoming, and we have a Shizu ult in the back, so we're ready to go. We also have a double stack of Rimuru here, so we can reset twice now. Not that we need to, but we definitely can. And now we can get Shizuka's buffs on both Shalltear and Ainz. So this is probably going to be one of the best runs I personally can get without any extra dupes and without extra orb RNG. The only way to make this better would be like for turn 2, not having to use any orb change, and we can just start using the Shizuka buffs early. Would be the best way to go about it in order to get maximum damage, but yeah, it is what it is. So we have 12 stacks of Despair. We can now nuke. Again, Shalltear goes first, and then now we have a 200% Ainz orb to follow up. So Shalltear, 3 million again across the board, 3.8 in the middle, 695 for Shalltear, or not Shizu, and then 7.8 million for Ainz. A lot more damage there, and his 200% orb does 448, which puts us into the 20 million range, which is awesome. So that's going to be my high score right now, 20 million plus a little bit of Despair that kicks in. Cool, it's peanuts. But there we go. This is my current high score for Boss Battle 1, 425,963. And now let's begin with the not-so-great teams. Alright, so the first alternate team is assuming you at least have Rimuru and Shizu. Not even Ainz, but you have the 2 best units of this meta that I recommended all people should get is the Protector Rimuru and Shizu, because they are objectively the best units from this collab. And then we have a bunch of the first anniversary units because they are dark and they are magic. So we are just going to attempt to buff up Rimuru, Milim, and Shinsha as much as possible, and then go ahead and send the nukes on them. The Shizu, she will still get, type advantage because we are running under Rimuru, but we're going to just pretend that she's not. And we're just going to try and focus on the other three older units, mostly. So, sending. We are super weak point still, but we don't have EX ults, and we don't have nearly the same amount of power as the other teams do. So, alright. This looks like a dead run. Okay, well, we'll just continue on. 6 greens again. Look, guys, we reset. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Alright, that looks a little better, because we have Isis now. So we can use Milim's orb change, and then we can get Shizu out of here, because she is not really doing anything right here. Orb change, and then the green buff, and then we'll use Rimuru to reset both of those, and then we'll use the orb change again for Isis, and then we'll be off and running pretty well, because that green buff from Isis is really, really impactful. And then we'll bring Shinsha in and use her debuff as well. So the crit resistance down is going to be impactful because Rimuru is going to give us crit. He's going to give all dark allies crit damage, so that's why we're not really going to worry too much about Shizu nuking, because she wouldn't be benefiting from that crit damage at all. So she'll just do less damage inherently, not being type advantage, not having that crit damage. And so she's here for purely for the alt swap and the other skill, which is the weakness buff and the alt resistance down, honestly. So even if you don't have Shizu, like, you bring somebody else. Bring another orb changer, bring another support unit, bring like a skill fuse space Rimuru or something, I don't know. But here, because we don't have EX alts, we're just gonna send them as they are, and then we'll just have to make sure that on turn 8, the final turn, we do actually have alts for everybody. That's gonna be the most important thing. So here, that's a lot of Milim orbs. Cool, awesome. We reactivate the green buff because, you know, it was gonna go away in a couple turns, but we'll just use it again anyways, just to get it, just so we don't have to worry about it. And then we'll bring Shinsha back in for Isis, use another stack of her debuff, and then we'll go ahead and just send it. And now we have an EX ult for Milim, if she was capable of having an EX ult. She's not, but it is what it is. Alright, that is a hand right there. That is a hand that we can't really do anything about, because we don't have another orange orb changer. So, this is, if this is the Overlord team, this would be a dead run. Well, no, it wouldn't be, because we'd be able to do any. We'd be able to use Nabe to change it. But here, we're just going to kind of get some stuff out of the way. So, you can come in, boom. We'll use the alt swap ability. We're going to send the 5 greens and just pretend like it's 6. So we still have the Isis buff here, and that's kind of why I'm okay with sending 5 greens, is because we have the Isis buff, and that's plenty. But here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still get max points, we still get a protector out of it, so that's good, and now we have a good hand. So we have 3 alts now. We still need the Shinsha alt, though, which is going to be the more important one. But honestly, Shinsha's alt will be the last one that we need, because we want to give Milim and Rimuru the weakness strike from Shizu. So Shinsha will inherently lose out on some of the damage, so it's not super duper important that she has an alt. But I do want to make sure she at least gets one. So here we can definitely make it so, because we can swap Isis out. So Isis, reset now. The orange buff, or not the orange buff, but the green buff, and then the orb change, and then now we can swap her out for Shinsha, and now we have 3 fully buffed orbs, plus another debuff from Shinsha, and now we have her ult. So now we're looking pretty good. 3 turns left to go, and we're doing okay damage. So now we just need to keep sending greens, honestly, and keep getting as much protection gauge as possible. So Milim can come in after we use another stack of Shinsha's debuff, so that's up like 4 or 5 now. Probably 4 that we've used. So what, that's 20% alt resistance down, or crit resistance down, which can help, definitely. And now orb change, boom, and then we'll bring Isis in for Milim, and then alt swap, and then orb change, and then we'll use Rimuru. Rimuru being the AoE is going to be much more important for the nuke than Milim. Milim is also skill fuse, so everyone's going to get 25% attack because they're all dark. So perfect. Not quite enough to get a double stack of Rimuru, but oh well. And now we are on to the nuke turn. Thankfully we have a Shizu orb to swap out for, and a Isis ult that we can swap out for Shinsha. So there we go. The weakness buff from Shizu on, and then you come in, and we can't really do anything about those blues, so it is what it is. Maybe I should have swapped Isis in first, if that was going to happen, but oh well. And now dark buff, alt buff, crit damage buff, stack of Rimuru, perfect, and then we'll go ahead and send it. And we don't, the order doesn't really matter, because we're not going to get too much out of this. 400,000 from Shinsha, 682 across the board, and 1 million for Dark Milim. And this 5th orb puts us over 4 million damage. So, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not 20 million like the Overlord team did, but, I mean, it's serviceable for a team full of first anniversary units. So, not bad. Still an S rank, and still can get you an okay score, as long as you're not like a sweaty whale tryhard. But let's move on to now the sad teams. Alright, maybe you didn't even pull Rimuru and Shizu, maybe you skipped the collab, or maybe you got eternally shafted. Either way, we're going to use the first anniversary Dark team, because it is just the old Overlord team as far as how it functions. Veldora is still raising skill cap, resetting skills, and giving a semi-stacking buff, because it does cap out. And then Isis, Milim, Shinsha, Rimuru from the last team, plus free-to-play Eren, because we need an orange orb changer now. So this team can work, can being the keyword. It's just, it's not going to be as good as that half Overlord team, but it is full of old units and free-to-play units. Isis and Eren being free-to-play, and Milim, Veldora, Shinsha, and Rimuru being first anniversary, October of 2022. So they've been around for a while. Maybe you have them, maybe you don't, but again, it's a guide. You know, you gotta sub out units if you don't have them. Here, we would be in trouble, but we have Eren, who now can help us with the conversion. So, actually probably shouldn't have swapped Shinsha out, because we could have used her buff. It is what it is, though. So yeah, Isis comes in for her green buff, boom, and yeah, we have 40 points left over, 30 points left over. So we could have used one stack of Shinsha's crit resistance down, so slight misplay there. At the end of the day, it's not truly that impactful, because this is, you know, not a super high scoring team. So if you want to come back and do it again because you missed that one stack, then by all means, be my guest. But at this point, we're running teams that have not a lot of high damage capability. So to offset that, we're just going to use a lot of the buffs early. And we need to use as many buffs as possible for Diablo, or for Veldora to get capped out. Because every time you use a skill, his magic damage buff goes up by 5% and caps at 70. So you want to use a lot of skills very early, that way every time you use him, you're getting the maximum amount of damage out of the team as possible. So that is also one reason why not using that stack of Shinsha earlier on does hurt us a little bit, but not too much. Again, the oranges, man. But thankfully, we have Milim and we have Eren to take care of that, and we're just going to keep sending ults, because there's no reason to hold on to them. Send them as they come, use some buffs, does not matter. Just make sure we have the green buff, so we'll use the crit buff now, because it's an AoE skill. Boom, 66,000 across the board. It's not super great, but okay. It is what it is, and we're going to make most of those points back anyways. And then look at that, another double orb change right there. So, not getting super lucky, but, you know, we do have the units necessary to orb change out of most scenarios, which is very nice. And what makes, you know, teams run so efficiently is having units that can orb change out of certain scenarios, which is why I think the Overlord team could have used one more for those pesky oranges, but they didn't do it. They gave us despair instead. So, it is what it is. Alright, another stack of crit resistance down. I should have buffed again on that ult, but I didn't. I didn't realize I had enough points to do so. So we lost a little bit of damage there. And look at that. Look at that terrible, terrible hand of no greens. But we, even with 3 oranges, 3 blues, we can still make that work, because we have a double, and a special. So Shinsha will come out of here, and we will use all 3 orb changes after I'm done being flabbergasted at my luck. There we go. So let's see. Yeah, we'll reset. No, we'll use Milim's orb change first. No, okay, we'll just reset it as is. All right, fair enough. So orb change, boom, boom, and then that leaves 2 blues that Isis can convert. Hooray! Hooray for good teams with good conversions. Alright. And now, technically, like, we could use the crit damage buff right here for funsy onesies, but do I use it? Do I dare? Nope. Okay, we don't dare. Let's go ahead and send it. That gets us 3 ults right there, plus we have the Shinsha ult already in the back. We have 2 turns left after this. So now is the time where we don't send the major ults willy-nilly. We can send like the Isis ult, because that's not truly important. If we had an Eren ult, we could send that too, but we don't. So now it's just get rid of the Ice Assault and send these greens and call it good. Okay, or don't send the Ice Assault, because I want to ensure that we have an Isis Orb. But we did, so... Alright, so here we go, the final nuke turn. 299 points. We have Veldora totally capped out. So now we can bring Shinsha in for Isis. Boom. And then we can use everything, plus the Orb Change, plus stack of the crit resistance down, and then we can get a full hand of greens. And let's see how much damage we end up doing here. So after we use everything. Come on, what am I doing? There we go. Boom, boom. And... okay, there we go. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 374, 284, 500,000. Alright, so yeah, definitely not as much damage as the half-meta team that we showed off earlier. 2.7 million still isn't terrible for a very old team of very old units. So it can get the job done. Again, it is another S rank, so there we go. 2.78 million damage. Not the end of the world, but not 20 million like I did earlier. And now let's move on to the fun team. The team that everybody loves. Oh my god, it's the Vengeance team. Holy shit. Who'da thunk? So, Velzard, Raphael, Isis, Yom, free-to-play Triya, and free-to-play Aaron. We're going to use 3 Vengeance units and then a bunch of Orb Changers, because that's all I care about, is using Orb Changes. And we even brought some skill point units, Milim and Soe, so we can use both of Isis' skills turn 1 and start maximizing that early. Heads up, this team does less overall damage than the previous team, the first anniversary team, because this team, the enemies don't hit us a lot, and they don't have very high attack. So our Vengeance scale is kind of not great. But Vengeance can do damage, I guess, once you stack it up kind of high, and it's just going to be getting those stacks of Vengeance on. I don't really recommend bringing Veldora or Shuna, honestly, because, like, yeah, they do have more Vengeance, but honestly, we need all these Orb Changers, right? We need to continue to send full hands of green so we get the points, so we get the stacks, or so we get the resets for Velzard. That's going to be more important than really anything else. So, and by the end of it, we do have a decent number of Vengeance stacks on. It's just that they don't hit us very often, right? They hit us like 2 times max. During the Vengeance meta, they hit us like 5 or 6 times, and they AoE'd ulted like every other turn. So yeah, ooh, 2 hits. Awesome. 8 stacks of Vengeance. We're looking real good. And then this is why I brought a whole team full of Orb Changers, because this bullshit right here. So, boom, boom. Triya comes in. We'll convert that last one, and then we'll put 1 stack of Vengeance on. So that's why I brought a full team of Orb Changers, and not like the full Vengeance team with 2 Orb Changers, because sometimes you just can't get around it. If you have Shizu, you could definitely bring her on this team, and just continue to always just send 6 Hand of Greens, and always have the reset and everything going on. That could definitely work in your favor. But I'm assuming that if you're using this team, you don't have Shizu. You don't have the Overlord team, and you just have this because the Vengeance team, when it came out, was godly, and this is your best option. And it is a stacking, green-focused team, technically. I don't have it recorded, but you could also use the idols here, because they are also a stacking green team, and they could work. None of them are dark, though, unless you bring Dark Milim, which I think I do for Boss Battle 2. But, like, Shizuka's an AoE, you have the stacking magic attack and the live mode and everything, so if you have access to the idols, they could definitely work as well. Probably better than the Vengeance team, quite honestly. But we're going to assume that you don't have it, because the idols are a collab team, and they're never coming back. And if you don't have Shizuka, I'm sorry. Alright, look at that terrible hand. Look at that terrible, terrible hand. Yeah. Alright. Thankfully, Velzard resets everybody, no matter where you are, which I think is still way too good for what she is. Resetting all 5 of the units is something crazy. But there we go. And then we'll send this, because I don't want to send the Yom ult. We'll send that next turn once we have a few other things. Oh, no, I do. Alright, well, I fucked myself then. Alright, well, there we go. We could have gotten probably 2 protection gauges right there for Velzard, but oh well. We went with the ult damage. It is what it is. So, Vengeance kicking in 20-something stacks now, and it does 85,000 damage across the board at 30 stacks. Like, that's not really great. Because, again, Vengeance is scaling off of the enemy attack. And if the enemy only has, like, 5,000 or 6,000 attack, like, Vengeance is not going to do that much, which is how they have been really continually nerfing the Vengeance team in a lot of these stages after this meta was over. Because they don't raise their attack anymore. They raise they raise element damage, right? Or physical or magic attack. Things that the Vengeance team doesn't scale off of and cannot seal. And then they just straight up nerf body and spirit changing skills by just sealing them. That happened. And then they're just not green teams. So the Vengeance team is very good, but they have been doing their damnedest to nerf it down into the ground and making sure that you can't really truly optimally use it. So here, 2 turns left, another Velzard, and we're almost out of here. We are not even at 1,000,000 damage yet. We will be after this turn because of the Vengeance stuff, but not even at 1,000,000. Guard, alright, 44 stacks, 46 stacks, and that does 130k, and now we're over 1,000,000. So, double stack here, full send of greens plus the alt, and we'll use Velzard again just for funsies, even though it doesn't really matter, because everyone had Vengeance anyways. And this is the last turn, so we'll go ahead and send it. Ice is being the last unit because she is dark. And, yeah. That's the end of JUBILEE Boss Battle 1. And we're going to cap out at 1.8 million off of the Vengeance team. So there we go. 4 teams that you can use for Boss Battle 1. Hopefully these ideas helped you out and gave you some better team options to use. Let me know if it helped you out, but that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.